Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In my last video, we drafted a pattern for a shawl collar jacket, and in today's video we'll be sewing this pattern using our scrap stunt fabric. I have added seam allowances on the pattern. I use 0.25 inch on the body, half an inch at the center back and 2 inches at the hem of the jacket. I'll be showing you an easy way to finish off the hem of your jacket just like the one you're looking at right now. To achieve this, the seam allowance on your pattern will look like this. For me, I used 2 inches as the seam allowance at the hem. The front panel with the collar remained the length of the jacket with ½ inch seam allowance. So these are the materials we'll be working with: our drafted pattern, satin for the collars, our scrap stunt fabric, some buttons and a cotton lining which I didn't add here. I'll be using 2 of these for this tutorial because we're making a sleeveless jacket. These fabrics were made from scraps. Make sure to watch the video. I'll go ahead and pin our patterns and cut them out. I have cut out our pieces, and here I am indicating the hem of the jacket. I'll go ahead and cut out the lining. I have cut out the lining. The lining is the same length as the length of the jacket with ½ inch seam allowance at the hem. I also cut out these pieces for the pockets and the band at the center back of the jacket. For the back lining, I didn't split it into 2 because I didn't want to cut and join it back again. So what I did was I pin closed the dart at the shoulder and bottom and cut out the fabric. Then I marked my darts. I will start by assembling all the parts, and I'm starting first with the center back piece. I have attached the center back piece. I'll go ahead and attach the sides. I'll be doing some of the simple sewings off camera. The back panels has been all attached. I'll do the same for the front panel. I have done the same for the front panel. I will top stitch on all the seam allowance to make it lay flat. I will open up the seam allowance and top stitch on both sides of the seam allowance on all panels to make it lay flat. My seam allowance is 0.25 inch, so you go ahead and do the same with your seam allowance. At this point, I remember that I have not attached the band at the center back of the jacket. I have already prepared my band, and with the help of my pattern, I will pin this in place in between my half length. Please note that I've already top stitched the center back of this jacket before pinning this band in place. I will go ahead and attach this band and finish off the rest of the top stitching. The band has been attached and all panels top stitched. I decided to top stitch the seam allowance because I didn't want to take chances with ironing. You know, this fabric is covered in tulle. So moving on, we'll be attaching our pockets. I'll quickly attach my lining pieces before we join the pockets. I added a lightweight interfacing on the lapel. I will attach it the same way I attached the jacket, but I will not top stitch on the seam allowance. The total width of this strip is 2.5 inches. The band is 1½ inches. So on each side of this band, I ironed 0.25 inch on one side, and on the other side I ironed 0.75 inch, which I split into 0.25 inch and ½ inch. I'm attaching with the side of the 0.75 inch, and I'll be sewing at 0.25 inch seam allowance. I'm attaching with the right side of the satin to the wrong side of the pocket. I will flip it over to the right side of the pocket with the remaining ½ inch and the crease line at the top edge of the pocket. I will hold it in place with pins and I'll top stitch on it. The pockets are done. I will run a basting stitch at the curved corners of these pockets and gather it to have a better control when I'm sewing these curved areas. My seam allowance for the pocket is 1/2 inch and I'm running the basting stitch at 0.25 inch. I'll go ahead and gently gather it, and as you can see, it has given me that curved shape. This is an easy way of sewing curved corners. I will go in with my pocket pattern. Make sure your pocket pattern is thick enough. I will push out these curved corners and I'll go ahead and top stitch around the pocket and trim off any excess. This is what your pockets will look like once you're done, and we'll be attaching these on our front jackets. At the hem of the jacket, we added 2 inches as seam allowance. I will mark that with pin. At the center front, we came in by 2 inches plus my seam allowance. I will also mark that with pin. Then at the hem, we came up by 2 inches for our pocket, and with these points, I will pin my pocket in place. The pockets has been attached. I'll go ahead and attach the front panels at the collar and top stitch all seam allowance. Once that is done, I'll go ahead and attach the front and back panels together. For anyone who do not know how to attach this collar, watch my video on how to draft an all-in-one or a built-up neckline on my channel. I shared in details on how to attach this collar using a plain fabric. This is what your neckline will look like when you attach both panels correctly. Like I earlier mentioned, I have a detailed tutorial on my channel on how to do this. I'll leave the link to that video in the description. I've also gone ahead and sew up my lining off camera, and at this point I decided to try on the jacket before I continue. So I wanted the jacket a little more flattering and snatched at the back. So at the waistline of my center back, I came in by 1/2 inch and curved it right back into the pattern as I'm showing you. So just go ahead and do the same on your pattern if you want yours more curvier and flattering at the back. I'm going to keep my original pattern, but I'll make this modification on the jacket quickly and we continue. So I have pinned this modification at the center back of my jacket with pins. I will go over to my machine and run a straight stitch. So guys, I've done the modification and you can see the excess on the band and on the center back. I will not be cutting these out. I'll be keeping them in case baby girl adds some weight. I'll go ahead and attach our lining to the jacket, but before I do that, I will trim off the seam allowance on the lining, so that when we attach the lining to the jacket, it's going to pull in the edges of the sleeves inwards, giving us a clean finish. I'll go ahead and attach the lining to the jacket, starting first with the collar. I have attached the lining to the jacket. I will notch round the lapel to release any tensions. At my breaking point, I will notch that 1 mm away from my seam allowance so that I can easily navigate the top stitching. I will top stitch the seam allowance round the shawl collar on the jacket up to the breaking point. Then I will flip the seam allowance and top stitch on the lining. Once you reach to the breaking point after top stitching the seam allowance on the jacket round the collar, you will lift your presser foot and with your needle still in your garment, you will flip the seam allowance on the lining at the breaking point where you notched and continue sewing to the hem of the jacket. So guys, this is what our jacket is looking like. It has already taken shape. We'll go ahead and sew close our sleeves. I have already sewn one of the sleeves off camera, so just watch the way I'm assembling it. I'll go ahead and pin the lining to the sleeve gradually all round and stitch it close.
Under pressure, no more time. Can we make a move? Overthinking, you and I. What do we have to lose? 'Cause I'm wasting all my time thinking of the things we could do. If you gave me one more sign, I could find a way to break through, a way to break through. Ooh, 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 a way to break through.
Once the sleeve is stitched, I will notch the curved corners so that when I turn it to the right sides, it will stay nice and flat. I'll go ahead and run a straight stitch along this line to help keep the collar and the sleeves in place. I have pinned it in place, making sure the joining on the lining matches the joining on the front panel. You can also see how the sleeve is pulled inwards, giving us that clean finish round the sleeve. I'll go ahead and run these stitches all the way down to the breaking point. I have done that. The purpose of this stitch is to help keep the lapel in place. So we'll go ahead and finish off the hem of this jacket. I'll go in from the inside in a way that the right side of this lining matches the right side of the jacket and pin. You will maintain a straight line on the first panel to the point where it is joined to the side panel and pin it in place. Then you match the side seam of the lining to the side seam of the jacket and pin it in place. Please ensure to follow exactly the way I am pinning mine. You continue pinning to 3/4 way to the back. We'll be leaving an opening at the center back. This is what yours should look like when you're done pinning. So we are going to run a straight stitch on these using the lining as our guide, and we're stitching at 1/2 inch seam allowance. Please, the front panel must be stitched in a straight line. For the slanted area, just follow the guide of your lining. I will quickly stitch this up and we'll do the same on the other side of the jacket. I'll go ahead and turn it out to the right side. Please make sure this corner is pushed out properly and pointed. So this is what our jacket is looking like. The hem of the jacket is already hemming. I'll quickly do the same on the other side of the jacket. So just like we did on the other side, we are going to pin the right side of the lining to the right side of the jacket, pushing all seam allowance at the center front towards the jacket, and we are going to pin this in place. So we are maintaining a straight line on the first panel of the jacket, matching the side seam of the lining to the side seam of the jacket. I'll run a straight stitch on these and I'll leave an opening at the center back. Once I'm done stitching, I'll go ahead and turn it out to the right side, making sure that corner is sharp and pointed. Now that we have sewn close both sides of the hem of the jacket, to finish off the hem of the center back, we'll go in from our back lining. So you open up the center back of your lining if you stitch yours closed, pull out this part and sew close the hem of the jacket. So guys, we have successfully stitched close the hem of this jacket. What we are going to do next is to secure this hem and give it that crispy look so that they don't appear wobbly. On our pattern, we added 2 inches at the hem and we have used 1/2 inch to stitch close the hem of the jacket. I'll mark the remaining 1.5 inches and hold it in place with pins, and that's going to be my fold over line. So you can see that the lining has automatically overlapped to give you that look you see on ready to wear jackets. I will run short stitches on the same line of each panel to secure this. Normally I would do this from the inside if I didn't top stitch on my seam allowance. If my seam allowance was not top stitched, from the inside on each panel I'll run back tags on the seam allowance to hold it in place. I will just talk you guys through the remaining part of the finishing because this jacket is as good as ready. From the breaking point where we stop the top stitching to secure our lapel, I'm going to take the stitches down to the beginning of my pocket and at the bottom from where my pocket started all the way to the hem of the jacket. I will attach the side seam of the lining to the side seam of the jacket at the hip side and at the armhole area. I will also stitch close the collars of the lining and the jacket at the back neckline. I'll do my buttonholes and attach my buttons. All this I'll be doing off camera and I'll show you guys the final result. So guys, this is our jacket done and dusted. I have done all that I mentioned and I'll just let you guys watch through. This project literally blew my mind. Like, I made a customized jacket out of scraps. Hey, no more wastage. I'm just imagining all the beautiful things I'll be creating with this scraps turned fabric. So you better stay tuned. Let me know in the comment section if you'll be trying out this project, and please do not forget to tag me on my Instagram or Facebook to see your own creation. And if you find this video helpful, do not forget to give it a thumbs up, share with your soulmate and friends, comment, leave all your questions in the comment section, and I'll see you all in my next one. A bientôt!